I have over 25 examples of Trump always chickening out, not just on trade, on various different things since he came into office January 20th. And on the back end, I have examples of where courts have actually ordered the Trump administration to do something and they've actually abided. And this is for those of you who say that there's no accountability, that it doesn't listen to courts. They actually do. They let people go. They put stuff back. So I have about a few cases on that end. So if you're interested in that video, stay tuned. I just recorded it. You can listen to X if you don't have time or if you don't have the patience, or listen to this in the background. You're going to love it. And see you on the other end. I have a cure for all the anxiousness you're feeling these past 120 days, hearing all the different ways that Donald Trump is being corrupt and essentially actively destroying democracy and ruining all American institutions and violating rights left and right. Now, what I have to share with you essentially is telling you the extent to which there is actual accountability. A lot of the things he's doing are being reversed, not just by the courts, but actually by the court of public opinion. When you call your representatives or business community, call up the White House and say, nah, this is not the thing. There's dozens of examples like that. And hearing these dozen examples is going to make you feel a little bit calmer and make you feel a little bit better, because you're going to know that as fast as he's rolling these things out, we're whacking them. There's a carnival game called whack-a-mole. Well, essentially, there's a mole that pops up and you have a mallet and you whack down the mole and then another one pops up. That is a Trump administration. And so watch this video. If you don't have patience to listen to it because it's about 20 minutes long, you can listen to it on 2x or play it in the background. When you're done, I guarantee you're going to be like, okay, all right, I feel a little bit better. All right, so I'm going to start with just the court of public opinion. And then on the back end, I'm going to tell you to extent to which court cases are actually winning. And listen here, what you're watching below here, this is a woman who got her passport. It says female. She's trans. Donald Trump issued an executive order stopping this that you're seeing now. You know how she got this? She sued and she won. So that's one example. It's in the court case portion of this video on the back end, or her. A little bit more details about her. But first, let's start with the court of public opinions. Just a little bit something. When you're done, you're gonna be like, oh, okay, yeah, all right, I feel better. All right, let's go. One of the early things he did was issue an executive order attacking DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion. As a result of that, there is a long-standing scholarship related to agriculture that a lot of HBCUs, which stands for Historically Black Colleges and Universities, benefit from. So when he did that, he stripped about 18 or so. Immediately, John Ossoff, various different members of Congress called and said, oh no, we can't get rid of that. So it got returned. So that's when people are called, and that was quick. Another quick, swift response was when his website, acting on that executive order related to the contribution of the Tuskegee Airmen and women in combat, got stripped offline, and people noticed it, to which a lot of outcry, including outcry, I'm going to tell you, from the Senator Britt from Alabama. Hey, we got to put this back. Pete Hegseth was like, you're right. And it came back. So that's another example. Same thing happened when the website related to Jackie Robinson was taken off, and that got returned, regarding to rewarding Elon Musk with a $400 million Tesla contract, while Elon Musk and his Department of Government Efficiency was actively stripping grants and jobs and benefits to children of America who are hungry, cancer research, and giving Elon a $400 million Tesla contract. People were like, really? So that was quickly reversed. At some point, Donald Trump said that he wants to create a war crime, move the Palestinian off the property, and recently he's talking about Libya. It's just as quick as he made those suggestions, which is shocking, especially for the leftist pro-Palestinian protesters who decided we're not going to vote for Kamala and Joe Biden because of what they have done, but only to help essentially put somebody who wants to move them. And that, he quickly said, no, there was reversal of that. He said that he was going to stop the government giving out free COVID tests just as COVID was starting to amp up again. So they had to reverse that as well. He said, we're going to stop packages coming in from Hong Kong when he started his tariff war against China. The folks at FedEx, I heard, called and like, nah, that's not the business. and that got returned and reversed as well. He said, oh, we're going to put 30,000 whatever migrants. And again, if you're new here, my name is JJ Legal. One of the things I do is help people understand the various different lawsuits filed against the Trump administration. I'm in the dockets, I'm watching the declarations, I'm watching what they're saying, and I'm reporting back to the extent to which a lot of things they do conflict with what they say in social media and mass media and on Fox News. And the plaintiffs and the petitioners in these cases promptly screenshot and grab everything they've said, and they bring it to the courts and say, Your Honor, what they're telling you, what the Department of Justice is admitting to on the dockets is not what the administration is doing, and there's conflicts, and that's why he's losing, because he's violating the law blatantly. And I've said before, if you follow my account, the Department of Justice under Donald Trump has already admitted that every single thing that Donald Trump has done in terms of trying to punish people for not following in line with his ideology, his culture war, his right-wing white nationalist agenda is in violation of the Constitution. They've admitted that in the dockets. I'm sure they admitted it other places. I just saw it recently and I shared it here. So they know what they're doing is unlawful, and the Trump administration does not care, and they're still doing it. But this all matters because when it goes to the Supreme Court, those plaintiffs can say they admitted that they're against the law, and that's why they're pulling it back. So if you see MAGA in the wild saying that the judges are activists or they're leftist judges, no, they're in a cult. They have no clue what they're talking about, and they probably don't have no clue what those court cases say and what the law says. And even if they did, they don't care because they're adjusting their own moral core, their ethics, their beliefs to adjust to Donald Trump because they're in a cult. So just let them. They know what they're talking about. You can probably just, I would say, ignore them, but you can't, because they're right now the 22% of the United States population represent MAGA. That's 77 million. If you believe it was 77 million, it's just 22% of the whole United States population. 32% of the electorate. So we're essentially experiencing the tyranny of the minority. And that's why in the previous video I posted, you can watch this account, I said that it's so bizarre to me as a member of the 92%er who is from a community that looks like the community that has been oppressed in the United States the most. So despite that oppression, managed to do a lot of amazing things and be brilliant and keep showing up. That the folks who have power, privilege, access, opportunity, who are actually the majority of y'all, really, there's no mandate, really. When you look at the numbers, I'll talk about that later. And y'all are really done and capitulating and bending the knee and yielding all of your power and authority and your majority status to the minority. And you don't have to. And y'all really just have to get your friends and stuff like that, especially in the red state. Call it the red state representatives, even if you didn't vote for them. And to get all part of this 90 million people, we just need to get 10% of those fools to realize their mistake and start voting. I ain't even call them fools, but it is kind of foolish to just think that you'll be okay. And that's a privilege also, to say I'm going to sit this out because I'm, for the most part, going to be okay because I have safety nets if I'm poor, or I'm rich and so it doesn't matter to me. So whatever end of the spectrum you are in and you didn't vote, I hope by now you realize that was a mistake. And if you have friends and family that don't vote, keep talking to them, you voters, you active voters. Anyway, back to the video. So that's something to think about. And further, there's also examples where they realize it's not feasible, the stuff that they're trying to do, the cutting. Donald Trump announced, I'm going to put all these people in Guantanamo Bay, 30,000. He even put some people there until he quickly realized Guantanamo Bay, which was for terrorists, not for people who violate civil infraction of being in the United States without authorization, either from sneaking in or overstaying and not being here without the proper paperwork and being returned. They're not supposed to be sent to a place that normally is supposed to house terrorists and a place that's not really equipped to even take migrants. So that plan got reversed because it was stupid. And then Elon, who is a South African American, who is a member of the private sector, as I say before, Donald Trump doesn't know about service. He only knows about himself, and that's it, and grifting. He doesn't care and doesn't understand the government is supposed to provide services for people. And Elon and the members of the private sector and the Doge don't understand either. They don't understand to the extent to which government actually helps people. It's supposed to be there. So he took a hammer approach and used AI, got a bunch of people to run code, do cut and paste and decide how to cut, and not looking to the extent that what you're doing actually hurts America. So just as quickly as they removed CDC employees, USDA, national parks, energy, they realized, wait a minute, for CDC, we got to put that back because we're in the middle of a measles epidemic. We got to put that back because bird flu is impacting us. People called the representative and say, please rehire the national parks folks. The energy, we need the people who know the energy codes, they're gone. Okay, put them back. Then you have all these other folks being returned because they realize, oh, that was a mistake. We shouldn't be firing these people. And they're going to be doing more of that within the coming months when they look around and realize all those folks we fired, we need to bring them right back, because Elon thing was a freaking scam, as we all know, and it's backfired already. Finally, there's been times when the business community called up and said, hey, you know what? This is not a good idea, or members of his constituents group. So when they decided when he said he's going to rename Veterans Day, enough people was like, nah, dude, you're not. They got reversed. He said he's going to take away some rights and research related to veteran care. That got reversed as well. He says, well, we're going to just tax and stop Hong Kong shipments coming in. FedEx was like, nah, we're not doing that. That's not the business. And then you have instances where he says, I'm going to tax Canada, Mexico. That got reversed. Canada, Mexico, European Union, reversed. China, reversed. So what good is you trying to flex muscle and try to browbeat and use your flawed understanding of how tariff works and how tariffs are actually going to cost American people more higher prices? Do not understand. And by now the world knows he's a joke. You don't even have to listen to him. No one's coming to the table. No one's trying to negotiate. Peter Navarro, who told him about this made up tariff plan that's been already debunked, is in his ear telling him to do stuff, and he's just following through and not listening to actual economists, and he's been backing down and he's been reversing course, and he's going to continue to reverse course because it's unpopular. And as people start to feel it, restaurants and lose their workers, construction sites lose their workers, farmers realize we're not getting any more contracts because China is steering all of their beef purchases to Australia and other places, and they're like, oh no, we're in steep FAFO season. Hurricane season came through North Carolina. Donald Trump rejected their request for aid, and they're realizing, what are you doing? You have all of the members of the Cubano and Venezuelan American community in Florida seeing Donald Trump cancel the temporary protective status of their family. You have members of the Cuban Americans in the Senate and House and Congress saying, we do not agree with what you're doing in canceling the TPS. The people who are, so you have a lot of those folks asking for a reversal. Whether he listens or not, I don't think it matters to the man. But let's get into let's get into the court cases, how the court cases are actually working. I started this video with a clip of this person who got her pass.
A waste of my time. And for all the people who told me I would never even have a chance at winning the lawsuit, look what came in the mail today. It's my passport! I did sue the presidential administration. I did win. They were ordered to give me a female passport, and it came in the mail today. So open up my new passport with me. These past few months have been so incredibly stressful. I'm nervous to look at it. Oh my god. Oh my god. I can't believe it. Oh, y'all see that? It's an F. It's an F. I'm literally shaking. Look at it.
Now, that was a win. It wasn't a nationwide injunction, but she got that because a court told the Trump administration to give her that. So individuals that have sued have actually won and gotten stuff like that. Not just individual people, individual companies. I'm going to share with you here, if you want to pause and read, or you want to screenshot this. When Perkins Coie sued the Trump administration for issuing executive orders saying that, we're going to stop, we're not going to give you whatever it is, all the crap trash, trying to attack them because Perkins, Jenner and Block, who was the other one? All the various different laws firms that bucked back because he says, we're punishing you. We're going to take away your security clearance. The courts have actively said you have to return that and change back. And this, what you're seeing below, is Pam Bondi had to issue a memo reversing it and sending the memos out. And she did that. She sent the memos. It was reversed. A court forced them to do that. And they're going to do it for Wilmer and Cutler Pinkerton, Wilmer Hale, for Jenner and Block, for all the law firms that did not capitulate, like Skadden and Arps, like Paul Weiss, who right now are actually actively losing partners. Law students don't want to work there. People don't want them to represent them anymore. Folks are reversing and taking away their deals because it's like, why did you capitulate and yield to an authoritarian, racist, sexist, xenophobe, know-nothing, lazy, cognitively in decline, bimble brain, cult, MAGA cultist, criminal grifter, felon? Why are you doing that when you're a freaking law firm? So we're not going to deal with you anymore. You also have recently some refugees, you probably remember, where like they had purchased their plane tickets. They had already sold all their property back home. They were given status to allow to come to the United States, and they were like actively like waiting to come. And Donald Trump issued this executive order essentially pausing that, really impacting them. They sued. The case is ongoing, but 160 that already purchased tickets, that are already on their way, sold their stuff, were on their way, they're coming here because a court's told them to. So that's accountability, but guys, that's accountability. And then when it comes to dismantling agencies, already several judges have already said you cannot dismantle Department of Education, and every single thing you did at the Department of Education has to be returned. You cannot dismantle an independent agency called the U.S. Institute for Peace, which is not operating in a building that's not even owned by the United States. Doge came in, guns blaring, removed them, took their sign off the wall. This is a picture of them putting their sign back because the court said you got to return them. The Trump administration is fighting, but I can tell you that Institute for Peace is going to continue. So is Department of Education. So all the attempts to dismantle is getting reversed. When he tried to dismantle United States Department of Agriculture, a court says you can't do that. You haven't met the benchmark. You have to rehire everyone. USDA, even though he's fractured it, is on its way to reframing, going back to the way it was prior to a court order telling the Trump administration. Each time he appeals, he is not won on substance. If you follow my account, I say the Supreme Court has given him minor procedural wins, have accepted his emergency complaints or emergency requests, even though Ketanji Brown Jackson, Justice Elena Kagan, and Justice Sonia Sotomayor, the liberal wing of the Supreme Court, has told the conservative wing stop accepting his petition please, because none of them are emergencies. He just doesn't want to do with the district courts, and if he has a problem, he should appeal and just wait for the whole process. But he doesn't want to wait for the process. He wants the Supreme Court to pause and stay while they appeal. So it's just delaying the inevitable, because at some point when it finally does get to the Supreme Court, he's going to lose. So it's just really just giving him small procedural wins to make him feel better, but ultimately he's going to lose on substance on most of them. There's only one instance, I think, that one type of instance I think he may win on is related to Humphreys, because I think the conservatives are going to appeal, but that's a issue for another date, but he gone. And when people say that, yes, he has removed Kilma Abrego Garcia, and yes, there are lots of people at CCOT that should not be there. We already know from recent reporting that about 20 or so the people that are sent over to CCOT were lawful permanent residents, meaning they had green cards, and there were people who had already been granted temporary protected status to come here, had already been vetted, that were stopped and paused and over CCOT. We know from the Trump administration meeting and 60 Minutes reporting that about 70% of the people have no criminal history. And you know from when I tell you that the immigration law in the United States is a civil infraction. So when you find someone here unlawfully, when they finish going through the process, they either return home or we return them home, not to a third country. That's why Judge Brian Murphy said that you cannot send them to a country that's not their country of origin. You can't send them to Libya. You can't send them to South Sudan. You can't send them to torture camp in El Salvador. You can't send them to Honduras. So all the places that you've negotiated, all the black and brown, quote unquote, whole countries that agree to take people that you remove, that's unlawful. You can't do that. You're not supposed to do that. And if you're doing that, it's violation of so many different laws. There's so many different international laws that this administration is violating. And I don't understand how the folks, including Donald Trump and the people under him, don't realize that you're going to be personally held accountable on the other side of this. This man is 78 years old. He's not going to be here for so much longer. And his administration ends technically in 4 years, but if we get our way, Operation 2/3, I'm going to show you my Operation 2/3 shirt. I finally got in. Hold on. my Operation Two-Thirds. Oops. Operation Two-Thirds. That is my campaign. If 2/3 of us, we get 2/3, we can control 2/3 of Congress. We get rid of him in next November. We impeach, remove, and get rid of his entire administration. So that's coming up. But here's some example of people who actually a court said you have to release them, and the Trump administration released, and they're walking free today because a court issued it. So here's some specific examples. You're looking at Adrian Gil Rojas, who has a temporary protective status as a Venezuelan. He was picked up. He was on his way to CICOT along with the other 236 people that they sent over back on March 15th, 2025. However, fortunately for him, there was a stall. Fortunately for him, the bus that he was going on or the plane or something had problems. That was just enough time for the attorneys representing him, is why you need to have an attorney. If you don't, please go to JJ Legal. Well, I have packets of legal documents that you can get, and to prepare yourself, I have one Know Your Rights cards that you can use to just know your rights. They're in English and Spanish. Get on that as soon as possible. But because he had an attorney, attorneys are going to get one on retainer. If you don't have one, I highly recommend you hire an immigration attorney. I am not an immigration attorney, but it's in your best interest if you have any sort of mixed status family that you get one, so you can do like what he was able to do and get actually removed. Because his attorney came in just in time, the court ordered him to be released, and at some point and to be returned from Texas to wherever he was from, and at some point they agreed that he could just be released on his own recognizance, and he walked out of that detention center because a court ordered him so. Similarly, a court told the Trump administration to release Remisa Öztürk, who's a Turkish grad student who had committed the crime of writing a paper that's critical of Israel. Not only Remisa Öztürk, but also Mohsen Madawi. Both of them got released because a court ordered them to. So that's accountability. When they put someone in detention center and the court says release them, and they're released. We're working on the other people, and yes, that's discouraging because they too need to be released, but know that I need you to know from watching this video, these last 25 is going on 25 minutes, but hopefully we can end this at 25 minutes, that they are actually being held accountable, that they are being stopped, that what they're saying in the dockets matter, especially when they go to the Supreme Court. A lot of the mistakes, the Department of Justice is hemorrhaging attorneys. As I am in this docket, on every single docket of 200 plus cases, you're going to find a pleading, a document sent to court saying this person is removed because people are either getting fired, whatever. A lot of them are just quitting and saying, you know what, we'll come back when we scrub the White House, scrub the Department of Justice with the stain of the MAGAism. When we're done with that, we'll come back. They're hemorrhaging. So they're not arguing. They're not bringing anything on the record. Why? Exactly why I told you is because no one wants to work for this crazy inept information. So I just finished going through with you. I haven't counted it, but this is like several dozen examples of Donald Trump being reversed, either because your calls to your representatives or enough people say this is not the business, whether from the business community or the courts order them to reverse, and they return people's benefits and they return people whole. And that's the opposite of immunity. Because people say, oh, he has immunity to do everything he wants. No, he has criminal immunity to not be thrown in jail for his criminal activities. But that does not say he cannot abide by the United States Constitution or civil law. Because to put them whole does not impact his ability to stay in office for as long as he's staying in office. It's not going to be long. All right, I hope that's helpful for you. Share this video. I hope you get some calm. I hope this video helps you feel more rest assured. And each time you see a crazy headline, I hope the next feeling you get after saying, oh my God, is like, this is going to be reversed. This sucks for the people involved. It sucks for our country. It sucks for democracy. But this is temporary. That there's going to be a reversal on the other side of this madness. That he is not lawfully able to do this. And I hope you also realize the extent to which he looks so small. They're so sensitive. Republicans are so quick of calling people snowflakes. It was kind of like, who's the snowflakes? You guys are... Who are you fighting? You're fighting trans people. You're fighting rainbows and trans people in education and books and universities and college kids. How big and bold are you if you're scared of like people who not even represent, you give them so much power. Like, we are so powerful just existing as Black people, as members of the trans community, as members of the federal civilian workforce, as just human. Wasn't that amazing? Now, what you can do is get my Know Your Rights card at JJ Legal. I also have a case tracker, so you can track all these cases yourself. I have links to the organizations suing, so you can join them and support them. And I also sell a legal template for those of you who have families of mixed status and you need to get your stuff in order just in case. And follow me on my own private socials.